1. So I'm a nights manager, but last year I was still a porter and set on cleaning detail. No biggie, I like the distraction of physical work anyway. So I come onto shift, and as we do the handover from the day's team, they mention a few troublesome guests to keep an eye on. 2 couples who had been ejected from our members' lounge earlier in the day. Now the lounge has a supply of free alcohol, though it's usually monitored to make sure nobody gets too leery. Today, due to staff shortages, there isn't a full-time attendant, so the restaurant manager is popping through periodically to check on things. These couples have been hitting the wine in there for a while, and have probably already drank too much, by a decent stretch, before they're spotted. The manager tells them that they cannot have any more to drink, and heads back to the restaurant for a second. Comes back to find them halfway out the lounge door with about 8 bottles of wine between them. He confiscates the bottles and takes their lounge keys away, so they head downstairs in a huff and take up position in the bar. This is about 4 p.m. Now the lad on bar is pretty young and not confident in declining service to argumentative people 3 times his age, so he continues to serve them. The bar is pretty empty this time of day, so it doesn't really attract attention until about 9 p.m. when the bar starts to fill up. Other guests start complaining about these clearly mortal people, so the duty manager heads through and tells them that they're not going to be served any more alcohol on the premises. They order some food and become a little less bothersome, so the DM hopes that's the problem solved, but still hands over to us at 10:30. So I go off on the firewalk, and when I get back, the nighttime DM drags me over into an alcove and whispers to me, pointing to one of the women who is sat alone on a sofa.
"Peter, she shat herself."
"What, on the sofa?"
"No, she was in the bathroom, but she didn't make it. She shat all over the floor, and it's all down her back and legs too."
"You're joking, right?"
"Go find her husband quick. Get her to take him to bed."
So, off I go. And as I'm talking to the husband, here she comes, waddling along like she's got an arse full of marbles. People are looking on in disgust at her, stinking like a cesspit and battered-in brown sauce. And she sits down on the bar stool next to him with a wet squelch. The husband's eyes sharpen swiftly from their genial stupor, as the full scale of the abomination becomes horribly clear to him. He takes her by the arm and leads her off to bed, leaving only her chestnut imprint on the sofa and stool, and the lingering scent of obsession for scatophiles. I check out the damage in the toilet, and it's worse than I ever imagined. A small reservoir of liquid shite submerges the cubicle floor and runs into the main toilet area. A few grubby handprints still persist in the ooze to mark a rapid and unplanned descent into her own degeneracy given form. We're gonna have to quarantine the area. We block off the door and cart off the soiled seats into an unused function room. All guests are kindly advised to use the first floor toilets. Makeshift hazmat suits are cobbled together from bin bags and linens. The whole team's kitted out. A little sign put on reception thanking guests for their patience and directing them to the DM phone. Suit up, everybody. We're going in. Hooey, the stank force is strong with this one. I'm gagging in my mask as I hold open a biohazard bag, whilst the DM takes point and begins to shovel the gelatinous blob into it. Porter 2 standing by with 5 different cleaning fluids to mop away the residue as we clear the area inch by inch. It's grim work, but we all feel giddy from the combination of shit and cleaner fumes. So bizarrely, we're all in quite good spirits and joking away. At last our work is done. We head out of the toilets and I head up to the first floor to give my arms a thorough scrubbing. On my way I notice a trail of dampness heading up the stairs. How curious, perhaps I ought to follow. The trail leads up to the first floor, all the way round it, and back downstairs towards the lobby. As I come through the doors, I find my DM stood over a woman who is lying flat out on the lobby floor like a starfish. Oh, and would you look at that? She brought her own brine. She's happily giggling in an ever-expanding pool of her own piss. And who is this remarkable lady, you ask? Why, it's drunk lady number 2, who clearly feels she's been outclassed by her friend of filth, and perhaps ought to even the score. So all 3 of us chip in again and uplift this denizen of hell. I've got the arms, they've got a leg each. We drop her in a wheelchair and the DM carts her away to her room, whilst we mop up the mess. We're having a joke about how at least the worst has already happened, and the rest of the shift should be smooth sailing. when the radio at my hip crackles into life.
Guys, we've got a problem.
Oh God, what now?
You better come see for yourself. Bring the cleaning stuff and grab a few towels too.
Oh God, what else could go wrong? I make my way to the 7th floor, my face a picture of deepest dread. The lift beeps like the death toll of church bells, and I step forth into the corridor, as if it's the far bank of the river Styx. My nose beats my eyes to the source of the problem, the piquant, delightful, and ultimately sharp acidic bouquet of regurgitated wine fills the floor so completely it may as well be solid. The DM is sat against the wall, the truest image of defeat, with drunk lady number 2 giggling madly from her wheelchair like a third-world Bond villain.
I can't get her to the room, Peter. There's vomit down the whole corridor. You're gonna have to clean it first.
Unbelievable. I'm shoveling this time, she's holding the bag. P number 2 has to keep running back and forth with jugs of hot water to douse the carpets. I throw up in my own mouth from the stink of it. It is hell. Eventually, our sick retelling of Hansel and Gretel ends at a room door plastered with sick. Whose room, I hear you cry? Why, it's drunk lady number 1, of course. We wipe the remaining puke away and wheel drunk lady number 2 into her room, where her husband is passed out on the bed with his trousers round his ankles. We throw her onto the bed and do one fast, back to the front desk, to write the longest and most horrifying incident report of all time. We post a £100 room cleaning fee to each room, nowhere near enough, but the most we can apply, and sit down to wait out the clock until handover. The next day I call the hotel and speak to the early DM to ask her how checkout went. Guess what? They complained about the cleaning fee. What's this cleaning fee? The room was clean. It wasn't the room so much. It was the piles of feces in the bathroom and bar, the puddle of urine in the lobby, and the trail of vomit leading to your door. Oh, right. I didn't think anyone had noticed. What the fuck? Here ends my happy Christmas tale. Let's see what pleasures this year shall bring. 2. This is one of my favorite stories to tell from my experience working front desk at a hotel a couple years ago. I will warn that the mystery of this story remains unsolved. No explanation given after the events took place. And it's quite a long story. Enjoy. The hotel I worked at was pretty small, only 3 floors. We were near sold out this night. My shift ends at 11 and I started getting ready to close my shift around 9:30. Around 10, a woman comes to the front desk and politely lets me know that there's a bell going off on the 3rd floor. I initially assumed it was perhaps a fire detector with a low battery, or maybe an alarm going off in an empty room. When I asked where it's coming from, she suggested I follow her upstairs to hear for myself. We go up the stairs and I start to hear it by the time we reach the 2nd floor. As we get to the 3rd floor, I realize just how loud this thing is. It sounds like a church bell. Loud and slow-paced, very ominous and creepy. It was so loud that I was unable to figure out where it was coming from on the top floor. It sounded just as loud no matter where I was. The lady was trying to help me narrow down the location. After a bit, I suggested she go back to bed and I try to figure this thing out. I got multiple calls on the phone from guests asking about it as well. I had the portable phone with me, as I was the only employee working that night. I finally think I discover which room it's coming from. I knock on the door and say, "Guest services, hello?" Multiple times, no answer. I go to the computer to check if anyone's in this room. There is. I call the room 3 times and don't get an answer. I decide to take the risk and open the door myself to look inside. The inside latch had the door locked, so I could only open it a couple inches. No way to get in. The bell got louder and I could easily tell this was the room it was coming from at this point. I hear coughing coming from the room on the left side. I shout, "Are you okay? Hello? Is someone there?" More violent coughing. No verbal responses. I panic and begin to assume someone is in trouble. Sounded like choking as well. Perhaps the bell was a way to get attention in case of a health emergency. I couldn't see inside the room much, so I was only able to see a laptop on the kitchen counter and 7 packs of cigarettes. I freak out and resort to possibly calling the police since I had no way of getting inside to help him. I get down to the lobby and notice one of the housekeepers was in the break room. Housekeepers are off in the afternoon. She returned for a phone charge as she left. She noticed I looked a bit stressed and asked what was happening. I quickly explained the bell and the potentially sick or dying man up on the 3rd floor. She tells me that earlier in the day she heard the same bell while cleaning rooms. When she asked our GM about it, she had said just to ignore it. Didn't explain why, just said it wasn't a big deal. However, I was still concerned for the guest's safety, so I called the room one last time. He answers. A very deep and scratchy voice answers. All he says is,
"I'm fine. Leave me alone."
I run upstairs to see if the bell is still going. It's not. It's now almost 11, so it's time for me to head home. The man checked out the next day while I wasn't working. Never got to see what he looked like or talk to him in person. Whenever I mentioned the incident to other co-workers, they seem confused as well and have no idea what the bell sound could have been. Nobody recalls him bringing any kind of equipment up to his room with him. None could even confirm how old he might have been. Also, the GM who told the housekeeper it wasn't a big deal denied knowing anything about the bell. It sounded like he had an actual gigantic church bell up in his room, but there's no way that's possible. I remember thinking it was coming from the laptop, but there's no way a laptop could be that loud. Remember, it put a ton of guests into panic. And it was so loud you could hear it at a similar volume wherever you were on the 3rd or 2nd floor. Maybe he had some big speakers at max volume. But they would have to be some really large speakers. It baffles me. I'm not sure what he could have brought up there to make such a loud noise. I can't imagine our GM allowing someone to bring giant speakers up to their room without a solid explanation. My first theory is that it was some kind of alarm to get help nearby, if you aren't with anyone. Second theory was perhaps he was deaf, and this was some sort of alarm system for him. That's the most reasonable conclusion I could come up with. But I'll never forget roaming the halls late at night trying to find the source of this sound, only to be left with no explanation. Creepy and mysterious, but most of all confusing. I googled stuff like loud alarm systems church bell all night to try and find out what could make such an insanely loud sound. Never came to a solid conclusion. 3. I work in a small hotel in a suburban town. The hotel is like a shining beacon in the night. The outside lights are blindingly bright from the highway. Generally, people find it very easily. For this gentleman, however, that was not the case. At about 9:30 p.m. tonight, I got a call. The man yells into the phone the entire time. I don't think he was mad. It was just your typical old dude type loudness. Thank you for calling, Hal. What can I assist you with?
"I can't find your hotel. I put it into my GPS and it led me to the wrong place."
Okay, sir. May I ask where you are currently and which direction you're headed?
"I'm on Highway 27 going east."
Not the actual name, it's the main road that runs through our town. You're pretty close. Just drive for about 1 more minute and you'll cross over the interstate. Then just turn right at the only gas station.
"But I'm already east of the interstate. I already passed over it."
Oh, okay. Highway 27 eventually dead ends at the coast about a mile east of us. I assumed he managed to somehow miss us and was headed towards the lake. I asked him if he could get the gas station into his GPS and see if that's successful. He tells me he doesn't understand technology and can't. Gotcha. Oh, okay, if you've passed over the interstate, you just simply need to turn around. Eventually you'll see Blah Blah Drive and a gas station on the corner, and you'll just turn left.
"Okay, I'll try that. If you don't mind, could you stay on the phone until I find it?"
Of course. I've got no guest checking in currently or hanging around. A minute or so goes by. I hear his turn signal in the background.
"I still don't see it. I didn't see a gas station either. I'm so lost."
Starting to wonder if this guy knows his cardinal directions. You should have passed by the Thirsty Vroom Vroom gas station, sir. Did you cross over the interstate?
"Yes, but I didn't see a gas station. I'm at Little Demon Skull's parking lot now. I went east to get here."
You're going to want to go east down Highway 27 again. You'll cross over the interstate, it's obvious, and you'll see a very large gas station on your right.
"But I just went east. I know for a fact that this high school I'm at is on the east side of the interstate. I didn't see a gas station."
The high school which I went to, in the town I've lived in my whole life, is definitely not on the east side of the interstate. It is very much so on the west side, in the town proper. Also, he would have definitely had to drive west to both cross over the interstate and end up at the school. I'm sorry, sir, the school is definitely on the west side of the interstate. We are on the east side, just after you cross over it.
Are you sure the school's on the west side? I think you're wrong. It's definitely on the east side.
With all due respect, sir, I live here, and I went to that school for 4 years. I definitely know where it is. I highly doubt he had it mixed up with any other school. It's the only school and school-looking building on Highway 27 or anywhere else. At that point, some guests are trying to check in. The guy says he's fine with holding for a bit. I get them checked in and good to go, and I get back on the call with him.
Now I'm on other road going north. I'm coming into a dead zone. There's nothing here but some houses.
Now I'm confused. He's managed to go back over the interstate, not see the gas station, or our giant light show of a hotel. He's about half a mile east, not north as he claims, out in the middle of nowhere now. I mentally facepalm and attempt to direct him back west again. I'll save your ears. It was a lot of back and forth. He ended up doing a lot of U-turns, crossing over the interstate multiple times. I was on the phone for 17 minutes total trying to direct this gentleman. Eventually he yells, "Stop on drive! I found it!" He pulls up, I get him checked in. He misreads 9 as 4, shitty handwriting on the room card, and ends up trying to get into the wrong room. We laugh about it, I correct the mistake, and we're all good. His brother is staying here as well, and upon hearing of this gentleman's questionable navigation skills, broke down laughing.
Typical Bob,
he says as he chuckles. 4. I've worked at a small, private-owned property, 3 owners, 96 rooms, for about 14 months. That's not too long, I know. But it's 12 months too long. Long enough that I've got a few tales of my own. I'm going to skip over the tale of the guy who demanded I turn the City Hall clock off because the hourly tolling was disturbing him, and the woman who screamed at me because she parked under our automatic garage door and got her car dented, and go right to the man who told me I was responsible for managing his wife's diabetes. A few months ago, Weird Beard Guy booked with us through everyone's second favorite third-party website, fucking.com. I wasn't working when Weird Beard Guy and his wife checked in, but I can only assume everything went as usual since there were no notes and my coworker didn't say anything. Weird Beard Guy called down half an hour after my shift started to ask for a new coffee pot.
It doesn't work.
Okay, sir. I can have another one brought up, but first, could you tell me if the light switch by the door is on? It controls the outlet the coffee pots are plugged into.
Yes, it's on. The light on the pot turns on, but the water does not get hot.
Okay, we'll have one up for you in a minute. Now I will admit that I messed up. I got sidetracked by other check-ins and forgot to give the message to housekeeping. About 20 minutes later, this guy comes down and starts harassing my coworker, Lucille.
I want to know why I don't have my coffee maker yet. I called it half an hour ago.
I got the housekeeper on radio and asked her to bring one up to him. Then went over to help my coworker. Since I'd been working at the hotel several months longer than Lucille, I wanted him yelling at me instead of her, but preferably not yelling at all. Sir, I apologize for the delay. We don't have many extra coffee pots, so it does take us some time to locate one, make sure it works, and get it up to the room. Housekeeping is looking for one right now.
It's been half an hour. What happens if my wife faints? She's diabetic. She needs coffee.
It will only be a minute.
What if she faints? She hasn't eaten in hours. Who's responsible?
So, I don't know a whole lot about diabetes management. Would coffee really help, or was he looking for a medium for milk and sugar? I would like to say for sure at this point I directed him to the vending machine a few feet from us. Or the corner store 3 doors down, but I didn't note it, so the memory is fuzzy.
If I knew this was the kind of service you had here, I would never have booked.
We are a 3-star hotel that is falling down and has mostly poor reviews. We have no bellman and no room service. We have continental breakfast that used to be hot and unheated, outdoor pool. If it weren't for our deal with the local hospitals, we would be out of business.
I want you to cancel the reservation and refund me. We are going to find somewhere else to stay.
Of course, sir, I'll just need you to call booking.com to cancel the reservation, and I will have to call the manager about any refunds. At some point, while Weird Beard Guy was yelling, our housekeeper walked into the back office with a clean coffee maker to test it in the plug up here. Before I could tell him that she was 3 feet away from us with a working coffee pot, he told me to phone booking for him and then left to go get his luggage. Surprise, surprise. I did not get through to booking before he was back again. He unloaded his luggage in the lobby, got his wife comfortable in one of our armchairs, and approached the desk again. Much quieter, but still intensely. Weird Beard Guy repeats his statements about his wife fainting, and that he wants to cancel, and that the wait time for things here is unacceptable. Sir, you will need to call booking.com to cancel your reservation. You will have received a PIN when you booked that you need to enter.
How long will it be?
It depends. I tried to call earlier, but I couldn't get through. Sir, do you really want to cancel your reservation? The housekeeper is right here and she has a coffee maker for you. She was standing next to him at the desk at this point.
I will take the coffee. Do you have a new one that will actually boil the water?
Well, I have an electric kettle. I can just go grab it for you. Weird Beard Guy accepts and returns to his room to wait. He was nothing but pleasant for the rest of his stay, and despite not getting any discounts, he raised no fuss at checkout. It is now months later, and I still can't fathom how cancelling a reservation, making a new one, getting the second hotel, checking in, and then brewing a coffee would take less time than our one on-duty housekeeper walking up a few floors. 5. Hello and good morning, friends, and a special hello to all of my audit people and the shit we go through. Last night was a tad more crazy than usual, with 2 weddings in-house and some team members who might have been doing hard drugs in their room. And they didn't even turn out to be the problem children. It's a longer one, but I hope you'll all enjoy. So right around midnight, I walk over to the coffee station to get some tea, when a young woman approaches our glass doors. They of course lock at 10 p.m. for safety, so I walk the 5 steps over to wave open the door for this girl, as she definitely looked like she knew where she was going, just oblivious to the door not opening. I was waving my hand when she kicked the fucking door frame, right in front of me. Now she's officially on my shit list. She went off to her room and I thought nothing of it. Probably about 30 minutes later, I have a group of girls enter in through the side door from the parking garage, 3 or 4 of them. They were kind of loud, but they also hopped right on the elevator and disappeared. Close to 1 a.m., the first young lady comes back downstairs to wait for a few friends to arrive, and she starts chatting with me, telling me she's excited to see her friends, and it was her birthday today, her 20th birthday. Big red flag. It's 1 in the morning and this girl is bringing 3 more friends into the building. She either has a really chill 21-plus-year-old in the room, or she's here alone. Now I know that 20 is not that far off from 21, and honestly the maturity levels are about the same when it comes to hotel parties of decency. But under 21 brings all sorts of legal complications. They run off to the elevator before I can inquire what room she's in, but not before I hear her tell her friends, "Yeah, my dad got me this room for the night." I figure if I don't hear anything, then they'll just get away with a nice little hotel room party. But I kept my security guard on the prowl, just hoping we could catch them before I got a noise complaint. Finally I struck gold. 4 or 5 more people came into the lobby at 1:45 a.m., as someone was leaving, and started talking among themselves about what room they were going to. 604. Here we go. I have my security guy go upstairs to check on that room, and he finds the music bumping and a room full of people, 10ish, he said. He told them to keep it down or there would be trouble. 5 minutes later, your 4th named birthday girl comes to the desk. "I just want to know what was wrong because we had a complaint and I just want to have a fun chill night with my friends for my birthday." Well, when I see 5 people going up to a room at 1:30 in the morning, it concerns me. I had security come up to make sure everything was fine, and he found the room to be noisy, so he gave you a warning. It's almost 2 a.m., so things need to settle down. Okay, that's fine. I just wanted to know what was going on. I don't want to get in trouble. Okay. She goes back upstairs, and I smell marijuana on her, in a major way. Oh great. So they're smoking in the room too. Sure as shit, 10 minutes later I get a call from the service company that handles our fire detectors and sprinklers. and they let me know that the alarm just went off in 604. I sent security back up immediately to tell them to quit smoking in the room and to start kicking people out if necessary. It's now after 2 a.m. and birthday girl is back at my desk. This time she's crying.
I just want to know what's happening. He keeps coming to our door and telling us we have complaints and that we're smoking, but I sent the guy outside and I'm just trying to enjoy my birthday.
Listen, here's the deal. It's 2 a.m., so everyone needs to be quiet now. No more loud music. No more people coming and going. You told me yourself that you just turned 20, which means that you can't even be in the hotel alone. But I'm willing to let that slide if everyone leaves and you quiet down. The fire alarm also went off, which means someone was smoking in the room. And if the room smells at all, there will be a $250 charge. If I hear one more sound, or if we get another call about the alarm or a complaint, everyone will be kicked out without question. A little more sniffing, a little more attempting to bargain.
Can we pay to be extra loud?
A little more asking how loud is. I ain't having none of it. Sent her off on her way with 5 new friends in tow. Meanwhile, I've got a woman who needs a new room because her TV does not work. And she absolutely needs her TV at 1 a.m. Another room seems to be having a party as well, and a guy is walking around the hotel knocking on doors, who belongs at the hotel next door. All of it aside, I didn't hear from 604 the rest of the night. I saw plenty of her friends back and forth and leaving until early 4 a.m., including one who wanted me to throw away her trash for her, like literally handing it towards me when I pointed at the trash, and then bitched when I said, "You can walk around the corner, hon. It's right there. I'm not taking your nasty trash. Thanks, so." I made sure to let housekeeping know about the smoking this morning, and to scour the room for any evidence because I sure as hell want to make sure Daddy knows what kind of party his daughter had, and how disruptive she was to the hotel. I will never understand how stupid and disrespectful people can be. Go to someone's garage or basement or apartment, but don't smoke and have a rager in my damn hotel. Hey everybody, Hellfreezer here, and thank you for listening to... You know what you just listened to. I'm not saying the title, but it's number 16. The reason for the change we're trying out is because this particular series always gets flagged as being inappropriate and not suitable. But I always put it in for manual review, and they always look at it and go, no, it's actually fine. So I know there's nothing wrong with it because they'll look at it and think it's fine, but it's something about the title. It causes it to get automatically flagged. So we'll try this shorter version. We all know what it means. If anyone's new and doesn't, whisper it to them quietly in back alleys. Write it to them on a slip of paper that they have to eat after they read it. But don't speak it aloud. Okay, gonna keep the rest of this outro quite short, I think, because I'm very tired. Very tired. So tired I can't even say the word very properly. Well, apart from just then. Because I actually, as I was saying, in one of the videos over the weekend, I felt this was a weekend I was going to get the decorating done, and I did. I got it done. Finished stripping on Saturday, got the wallpapering done on Sunday, many breaks taken in between, so I didn't get too tired. Didn't work, still got tired. But I got it done, looks very nice, but because today was a work day, although because I was super tired, work took a lot longer. Because today was a work day, I wasn't able to do the proper cleanup I wanted. It's not too bad, because I kind of tidy as I go when I'm decorating. But floor does need to be vacuumed, and I'll want to, just as kind of to finish it off, get a damp sponge, wipe down the walls just to get any... They look fine, but to get any, like a paste that might be on them when I've been smoothing things out, or the edges. And I'll stick any little bits, because there's always some that need to be stuck down. Took longer than it should have, actually, because I made the mistake of buying the only brand of wallpaper paste they had in the place I bought the wallpaper. And they said, oh yeah, we've got these ones, we've got the smaller packets that do 5 rolls, or we've got the bigger ones that do 10 rolls. So I thought, give me 2 of the 5 roll ones, right? Just so I don't have to make up too much at once. Well, I was going to keep this short, it's getting long, whatever. Well, should have just stuck to the brands I knew, because this stuff, first one was a mistake. I made it up badly, because it's been a while. I put the paste in, then added the water, which is the wrong way to do it. Water first, then you add the paste in. But it's been about 3.5 plus years since I've actually decorated. So anyway, messed it up, but I got it done, that's fine. Only got about 2 rolls out of it, where I was promised 4 to 5. I made it up to do the 5, so I thought, well, maybe 4 or 5 at least. No, got 2 rolls out of it. So okay, well maybe it's how I made it up, and it didn't go on very well either. So I made the second one up, made it up flawlessly. It was perfect. Michelangelo himself, famous painter and decorator, would have been delighted by how the sheer perfection of how this wallpaper paste was mixed. But it was just as bad as the last one, so it's just not good wallpaper paste. Again, I think I got maybe 2 or 3 rolls out of this, as opposed to the promised 4 or 5. And the bedroom takes about 7 or 8, depending, right? I think it took just over 7 this time. Thankfully, from 3.5 years ago when I last decorated, when I did my living room, I must have bought a spare packet of wallpaper paste, just in case. Good thing I did, because put that in, mixed it up properly, lovely. That was like night and day. I actually got quicker using that stuff, because it went on easier, I didn't have to retouch the edges as much with it, and I'm just realised I'm going on a whole spiel about wallpaper paste. Okay, I'm clearly sleep deprived, I'm going to go. So until next time, thank you very much for listening, and take very good care of yourselves.